This video is sponsored by Skillshare, which is a site containing thousands of classes on creative topics like animation, music production and crafts, created by masters of their field. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free premium membership trial. As a YouTuber, I have approached video editing in one particular way, and now armed with that knowledge, I find it even more interesting to visit guides on video editing, told by people who learned in a different way. For instance, I watched a guide on making a short film by a filmmaker called Olaf. Even though he films with real cameras, I have been able to apply his teachings to the digital world, which is where I record stuff. Skillshare makes it easy to review the credentials of the person you're watching, and it is reassuring to know that you're learning from somebody who knows what they're talking about and who has had success in their profession. That itself is inspiring. The site has a number of free classes, but for $15 a month or $99 a year, you'll be given unlimited, ad-free access to everything. Link in the video's description. CSGO is now over 8 years old, and a lot has changed in that time. Some of these changes are more recent than you might imagine, while others are far older. Let's see how much the game has changed, going back year by year as of the end of April 2021. In the past year, CSGO has removed bots from matchmaking. We got the 10th operation, Broken Fang. We got the new pinging and chat features as part of this, and the map Ancient to fill the Aztec-shaped hole in our hearts. Demo playback now speeds up every time you play through the same demo, thanks to timestamps at the start of every round, though I still think this is kind of buggy. Swear words are now filtered by default, even some of the words that shouldn't have been. But it's improving. We got texture streaming, which is why when levels first load you sometimes see it pop from low resolution to high. And we got new kill feed icons at the start of May 2020. We're already up to a year ago now. Between 1 and 2 years ago, we got warm-up arenas, which were then gradually introduced a few maps at a time. And Half-Life Alyx was released. Valve also rolled out the Squelching Noise update, which eventually mutes toxic players by default, not to be confused with the swear word filter that came just afterwards. Operation Shattered Web came out in November of 2019, and along with it we received custom skins that could be equipped for either team. When a match ends, instead of jumping straight to the scoreboard, this update changed it to show the players and what they had achieved in the match. At this time, the game also got support for pearlescent skins, which appear to change colour depending on the lighting conditions. The new Cash remake was released, and health shots were added to Deathmatch, given to players after a kill streak. Bot AI got an improvement to make their aim and navigation more natural. I believe this is also when they started being able to see straight through smoke grenades, and that's why the recent Guardian challenges have been so infuriating. Scrimmage mode was added to the game for players who want the pain of matchmaking but without the chance of ranking up, and with a limited map selection. Dust 2 got a retro version to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Counter-Strike's first beta, and we got a ballistic shield added to Danger Zone. Between 2 and 3 years ago we got Sirocco, the second Danger Zone map for the game. The loss bonus system for the game changed so that the suckiest team's loss money wouldn't be completely reset the moment they won a round. The M4A1S got upgraded from 20 to 25 bullets in its clip, magazine, whatever, and the shotguns got buffed by having their prices dropped and some other small adjustments to them. Vertigo returned to the game at the very start of 2019, and with it, you no longer needed a phone number attached to your account to get Prime. Militia got a snowy theme, snowballs were rolled out as part of the Christmas celebrations, and CSGO went free to play and got its own Battle Royale game mode. Halloween of 2018 saw pumpkin footballs, a Halloween version of Kabobble, and players turned into ghosts after they died. Just before this, the Organ SG got the price drops that would eventually lead to everybody using them, before they were returned to normal prices again when shotguns got their buffs. Since we're working backwards in time, things get a bit confusing, but CSGO got a free edition about 3 months before it became fully free to play. This free version was limited to offline play against bots and being able to view multiplayer games. You didn't even have access to your inventory. In mid-August of 2018, the MP5 was added to the game, and just before that, the C4 got different sounds depending on which bomb site it had been planted at. The game got the much-awaited Panorama UI overhaul, and there was much rejoicing. I have a video covering this where I talk more about how it was before, since that's probably what you're more interested in knowing about now. Mirage got itself a few graphical improvements, but nothing like a real remake. GDPR came into force, requiring Valve to reveal all of the information they had on players and their match history. And the game got reverb sound effects, similar to those heard in Half-Life 1, allowing different rooms to sound different depending on their size and so on. Between 3 and 4 years ago, Valve revealed VACnet at GDC and their ambitious plans to combat cheaters. Nuke's boost was made into how it is today, and CSGO's peak ever viewership during a major was achieved in the Boston 2018 event between FaZe and Cloud9. In December, the shotgun spray patterns were fixed to make them easier to master, and this officially rolled out to matchmaking a few months later. Trust Factor was added to matchmaking. This was a big day for the game, as it was also the day that Dust and Aztec were removed from it, and was the day that Wingman and Flying Scoutsman became permanent game modes. Sound occlusion was improved, we got the new Dust 2 and Elite Crew models, aim punch was reduced on unarmoured headshots, and the P250 was nerfed so that it could no longer one-hit kill helmeted enemies. The Tech 9 got a spray and pray nerf, and Gambit won a major. GoTV was updated to support time travel, delaying what the audience sees by a few seconds to give Sliggy time to get the best camera angle. Normal maps were added to the CZ Victoria skin, but were then quickly rolled out elsewhere as well. And Operation Hydra began, complete with many minigame mods including, you guessed it, Wingman and Flying Scoutsman. Between 4 and 5 years ago, yes, over 4 years ago now, the Negev got its aim changed to how it is today, and had its price lowered down from $5,700 to $4,000, and then quickly down again to $2,000, and with changes to its mechanics. It was dropped further to $1,700 a year after, along with some other changes. But this was when the big change was made, over 4 years ago now. The Canals map was released, and along with it, the Phoenix models got an upgrade. Dust 2 was moved out of the competitive map pool and into its own place, a testament to the map's popularity, but in many ways was also the first nail in the map's coffin. At this time, Australis won their first of many majors at Atlanta, and according to what Valve said later, VACnet started operating at the start of 2017. End of 2016 marks the halfway point between when the game came out and now. We got the new SAS models, which could be seen on Inferno, which was released just a few months prior. We got the HRTF audio updates so that players could finally tell where sounds were coming from, and Nuke's Bombsight B used to have a ladder up to the top of Silo, and this was removed about then as well. We also got gloves. Jump shooting with the Scout was nerfed, and throughout 2016 the weapons all got their sounds replaced with less ear-damaging versions. Rifles got new recovery rates to encourage burst firing, but to discourage spraying. SK won the major at Cologne, and the beta client became a thing for Valve to test new changes with. Character animations were changed to better represent the player's viewpoint, especially when falling, and Cash got an HD makeover. Not the total remake that we got more recently, but more like a texture replacement pack for the older version to improve definition. Between 5 and 6 years ago, LG won the Columbus Major, and the 7th operation, Wildfire, came out, along with the new Nuke. At the start of 2016, we received high-resolution arm and glove models. This was 11 months before custom gloves came out for the game. For Christmas 2015, we got the 1-minute timeout for matches, a deathcam replay feature, shortened match and C4 times, and, of course, the R8 revolver, a high accuracy, one-hit groin kill device that put the rifles to shame. And to top it all off, we also got a number of controversial changes to rifle accuracy, all of which was reverted back just a few days later. The game got lots of new footstep sounds to cut down on repetition, Team Envy won the major at Cluj-Napoca, and there was a big hitbox update where the cubes were swapped out for more accurate sausage shapes. Model culling was used to prevent body parts from poking through walls, and the C4 got wires attached to it to indicate when it was being defused. This update also made defusing players move a lot less than they did before, because before this update it was possible to spin around ridiculously quickly when you were defusing to avoid being headshot. Oh, and this use had its price dropped in this update from $400 to $100. In Cologne, Fnatic won a major for the last time. The train on Overpass got its timing fixed after it messed with Cloud9's nades, and the Overwatch system was released for everyone, having already been in beta for over 2 years at this point. Yeah, I can't believe how long it's been in the game either. Perhaps to help with Overwatch, GoTV got its tick rate upped from 16 to 32, and we got the 6th operation, Bloodhound. Along with this, CSGO got its experience system and the Guardian game mode. Casual rounds had their length reduced from 3 minutes down to just 2 minutes 15. Between 6 and 7 years ago, CSGO got an improved voice codec. Before this point, everybody sounded muffled and horrible.
I'm Bane, yes, that's my name.
Ladies and gentlemen!
Smoke grenades were made to appear more consistent, and for Christmas 2014, Train got remade, over 6 years ago. The day after this, the infamous pigeon exploit on that map was fixed. The CZ got nerfed in this time, going from 12 rounds and 1 reserve magazine down to just 8 rounds and 2 reserve magazines, before returning to how it was before soon afterwards. The Deagle had its price dropped from $800 down to $700, and LDLC won the major in Sweden. Almost 6.5 years ago, the Olaf Boost incident occurred on Overpass. Following backlash, Fnatic forfeited the tournament, but it was all very entertaining. We got the 5th operation, Vanguard, and with it, matchmaking got restrictions so that only people of similar ranks could play together, and friendly fire was disabled on some of the casual game modes. For Halloween of 2014, players got Halloween masks, zombie chickens, and just before that, music kits were introduced to the game. Tagging, where you slow down when you're shot, got an overhaul to make it more cumulative in nature, and players' movement changed, making them slower to accelerate and faster to decelerate, which I believe was done to nerf the AD-AD pistol battles which were prominent at the time. The Tech-9 got buffs just before this, making it a beastly weapon that Fnatic used to great effect for a while afterwards. In perhaps the shortest patch note ever, CSGO wished itself happy birthday. iBuyPower's match-fixing incident happened, and NiP won their first and last major at Cologne. The fourth operation, Breakout, was released with a revised bullet penetration system, and maps were split into active and reserve duty, and cash was added to the game permanently. The Howl plagiarism incident happened, making this skin the first and only one to be contraband in nature. And the Scout had its price dropped from $2,000 down to $1,700. And this wasn't even the first price drop it had received. More on that later. Between 7 and 8 years ago, the game disappears into the distant past. Virtus.pro won a major at Katowice, and we got the third operation, Phoenix, and teammates got different colours, starting the whole purple teammate meme. The CZ was added to the game, as were sticker capsules and the ability to throw grenades underarm. Back in Christmas 2013, Cobble and Overpass were added, along with the Winter Offensive case, being the first to contain community-made skins. It's here we have to move to the old patch notes. The game got its first major, being DreamHack in Sweden. The demo UI had its interface overhauled. Hard to believe, but it used to be even worse than it is now, which you can still see if you load it up in Counter-Strike Source today. The C4 was made so that only the player planting could hear the buttons being pressed, allowing for fake defuses to become a thing. When flashed, players would now raise an arm in front of their face, and a few years after this, and after being killed by apparently flashed enemies, it was tweaked that it would gradually drop down again as they regained their vision. For the second operation, Bravo, cash was first added to the game, but at this point it was only for the operation. The Arms Deal Collection contract was renamed to Trade Up Contract, and Aztec got its layout changed to be more balanced, and skins were first introduced into the game as part of the Arms Deal update. Part of this was the M4A1S and USPS being added to the game, and various new animations were added as well, including the Inspect Weapon button, of course, but there were also physically modelled dropped magazines resulting from reloads, and you got to see bullets running out as you neared the end of a Negev clip. Belt. Up till this point, there had been 2 versions of every map, a pretty version for casual play and one for competitive play with less fog and fewer details like cables and stuff. In really old blog posts, Valve posted about how fog could make players easier to see, but they backtracked on this and combined the 2 versions together, which is what we've had ever since. Mirage was added to the game, and the Overwatch beta started. For competitive play, an update allowed for 2 flashbangs to be held at the same time. Before then, it was only 1. Beyond 8 years ago, we get to the earliest days of the game. The first operation being Operation Payback, and with it the inclusion of the first community-made maps. The addition of Militia. Numerous pistols were reworked. If you see really old videos of the game where people are doing weird things with pistols, don't criticise them for it, for back then they may have had good reason to. The CSGO Maps Workshop opened up, and Deathmatch was added to the game. On the 12th of the 12th of the 12th, Valve changed Nuke with changes suggested by pro player Volcano. Back in October, skill groups were added to the game, which gave everybody an incentive to do competitive matches, and a month before were 2 new maps, Monastery and Vertigo. Gunshot flinch animations a few weeks before that, and the game itself was released on August the 21st, 2012. And before that, we go into the betas. There are a lot of changes there as well, but I'll save that for another day. When making this list, several things became apparent. Some updates were older than I remembered them being, some were newer, and I think all this was down to when the game had been at its most popular. I don't consider the game being released in 2012 because what I know it for today only really begun in 2014. I followed the pro scene for a while but haven't done so more recently, so I do tend to remember the older events as being more iconic, which is clearly wrong of me. Other things that are apparent are that the biggest changes to the game coincide with new operations, and that now I feel incredibly old.